Hi, this is Edo from Sol Negate. We are a symphonic progressive death metal band from the Seattle area. Symphonic in the sense that we have classical arrangements behind all the, let's say, more band elements. Progressive in the sense of, uh, I suppose, kind of a combination of like Dream Theater, Pink Floyd. We like to play with different time signatures. We like to play with different feels. We like to play with the arrangements and the song structures. And then death metal in the death metal sense. What is the meaning behind the band name? So there are a few different meanings interlaid kind of into it. One of them is kind of the face value meaning, maybe. And that is, sol comes from Latin meaning sun, negate, meaning nullifying, denying, that kind of thing. So, in other words, negating the sun or darkness or metal. Can you tell us a little bit about On the Verge of Dreaming Again? On the Verge of Dreaming Again is our first album. It is the proposal, I would say, of what we want Sol Negate to be as a band. It is an album that has a unifying concept about death and dreams. I think it's a bit of a concept album in the sense that I originally wrote all the music and composed everything to have thematically kind of a story arc that was threaded throughout all the different scenes of the album. On top of that, the way that I composed each part was as part of a concerted whole, right? So there was this vision behind it, this concept behind it. However, when we started working with our vocalist, I decided to not tie him up too much to the vision. I wanted him to internalize all the different concepts and vision after, different mind meld sessions and so on, and then internalize it so that he can do something that was natural and true to how he would portray it, right? I wanted him to be himself and go to the vision that he internalized so it felt real to him, as opposed to try to just check box to fit the vision that I had very, very specifically. Can you talk about the lyrics on this release? Well, as I mentioned, he did most of the lyrics, probably 99.9% of them, based on the themes and the original concept that I had for the album. As far as each individual lyric for the scenes and so on, he would be the one that can dive deep into each one of those pieces there and really kind of tease out what he did there for each individual one. How did you approach representing the themes of death and dreams musically? So the album concept is about death and dreams, and it is about how those two blend together, right? And there's a few different ways that I approached, not lyrically, but conceptually, right? That aspect of it. I think a very real part of this was me dealing with uh, different parts of my life, depression and so forth, and being in different emotional states, and kind of trying to uh, put to flesh those mind states that I was feeling at the time. So I think a lot of it came from that as a way of kind of dealing through those periods. Uh, Part of the concept was, again, to kind of have these different scenes throughout the album. And each scene basically represents a different stage of someone's life going through from kind of inception to death, and different realizations and different things that occur as you progress and grow through your life. So I wanted the music to reflect those scenes, to reflect the different turmoils of certain parts of the scenes, right? So hopefully you'll be able to see and hear the idea of kind of coming from nothing and then hitting different challenges and kind of dealing with different things that life throws at you. So that's I think part of the concept and how I dreamt with it, how I dealt with the dream and death aspect of it. Can you tell us a little bit about the album cover art? Yeah, so the album cover was something very hard for me to figure out. There are many different ways. I love many different styles of art. At the end, I ended up going with this one because this was primarily AI generated. So I thought it was interesting just in the current times and seeing what kind of art can be created right now. But also thematically, I think it works, right? Because art from AI, how does this tap into artistic creativity, artistic values that we as humans have, right? I think there's a bit of that dream aspect into it. And then just in terms of composition of the actual image, right? Like it is the kind of dark figure in the middle of it, emanating things around them, right? There's a few different areas that you can kind of think about that. What do you do to support yourself financially? Well, I have a day job that I do daily, and I'm a technical program manager. I work in the tech industry, tech field, with through various companies here in the Seattle area. When did you first discover your interest in metal music? It's an interesting question. I don't actually know if I have a very specific date. From as far as I can remember, I always loved music, and from my father, got a lot of different types of music, Pink Floyd and that kind of thing. And then over the years, it just got a little bit heavier and a little bit heavier. I know that, um, I started going and getting to like bands with like heavy double kicks and so forth, like Fear Factory back in the day and so forth. But what I would say is the first kind of extreme metal band that I really got into was Dimmu Borgir from the Puritanical days, right? Like that album just blew my mind. I was like, okay, now this is my gateway album into more extreme music, and actually got really heavy into more black metal side of things, and kind of the death metal part came a little bit later. But during this entire time, I was big into uh, prog, big Dream Theater fan. I think Scenes from a Memory was like that pivotal album for me that was like, okay, now I really want to play guitar and I want to, do this do this as a life work, right? As millions of other guitarists that heard Petrucci's work probably would say. Uh, okay. What obstacles have you faced as a musician and how did you overcome them? There's a few different ways that you can answer that, right? Depending on how you take in obstacles. I think for the music that I want to play, certainly it is more on the technically demanding side of the spectrum than not. So just being able to practice, being able to have a vision in mind of like what you want to be able to do, not being able to do it and like fighting and practicing to get to that point where you can successfully share that vision. Also, you know, spending inordinate amount of time practicing while maintaining a life, maintaining a day job, all this kind of stuff has always been challenging. Also, finding people that wanted to be part of the vision that I had. The symphonic progressive death metal is a very, let's say, specific genre in the metal pool, and not everyone wants to do that. There's so many different subgenres. So finding people that really kind of understood where I wanted to go to and like wanted to share that journey with me has been challenging. Um, is there a specific non-metal genre or artist you'd love to collaborate with? I mean, there's countless people that I would love to collaborate with. Um, I don't just love metal. Obviously, in symphonic progressive death metal, I have huge love for classical music. I would absolutely love to collaborate with someone in that space, like some of my favorite pianists, violinists, right, and that kind of thing. Um, I mean, let's throw out some names, right? Maurizio Pollini on piano, Hilary Hahn, for example, or Salvatore Accardo on violin. This is just me dreaming, right? Uh, in terms of bands, I mean, it's a bit of a cheating answer, but like Devin Townsend, right? uh, that's a bit cheating because obviously, he does a lot of metal stuff. Not always metal, but I'd love to collaborate there. Um, Even maybe a little bit more surprising potentially, but even bands like Coheed and Cambria, absolutely love the work that they do, the lyrical approach that Claudio has uh, to the vocals, the vocal approach, right? Like how he enters and ebbs and flows through the measures, right? I love that. Um, in terms of like guitar based music, I mean, there's so many. You think of like Alde Meola again, just dreaming, not even implying that I'm anywhere near uh, where these people are, but if we're dreaming, that's what it is. Uh, yeah, there's so much great music out there, and being a part of it would be incredible. How do you perceive the evolution of heavy music? I think now we are undoubtedly in an era where music is a lot more about technical proficiency than it was before. And that has pros and cons. On one level, it means that the we have so much more potential to what we can do musically, right? Like we can elicit different things by having higher technical ability than without that, right? So we have more opportunity of expression. At the same time, it's really easy to get trapped into this game of the faster I play or the harder something is, the better it is, right? And I think it comes from the idea that we can quantify how many notes per whatever I'm playing, right? And the higher that number is, it's easier to say, "Oh, I'm getting better," because we're used to practicing, we're used to using a metronome, something like that. But just because we can play more notes per second doesn't mean that that is actually better music as a result, right? And so I think a lot of the times people get stuck chasing this kind of number, this kind of metric, as opposed to chasing music, right? And it is also a strong differentiator, right? Like in the way that there's so many bands out there and there's so much water into the pool. That is one way that people differentiate themselves. And I would argue, maybe not the best from a musicality perspective, but certainly, guitar gymnastics and stuff are super fun to listen to. So it's, I think we're moving forward in a way that um, we're swinging really high on the technical ability. I think there's a little bit still more to go, but then we're going to have the pendulum swing back a little bit more and in general incorporate more musicality into the compositions alongside that. And I think that's going to be really the sweet spot. I think we're kind of at the beginning of what the classical music period did with like Liszt and a few of the other like highly virtuosic musicians, right? And so it's exciting. I think it's very exciting where things are going, but there's also a lot of stuff that's less exciting to listen to that you have to sift through at the same time, right? So it's kind of where we're at now. Okay, rapid fire section, just for fun. Guitar shredding or drum blast beats? Blast beats. Bomb blasts. to be precise, because you listen to them and you're like, fuck yeah. Vinyl or CD? Vinyl. I really, really am getting into vinyl and vinyl collecting, unfortunately, because it is expensive and takes up a huge amount of time. But sitting in a dark room with some nice speakers, or with, some headphones on, and like having the art in front of you, like really big and so forth, like it's a fantastic experience. Mosh pit or crowd surfing? Uh, Mosh pit, but there's a lot of funky things that happen in mosh and stuff. I'm a kind of no karate in the pit guy, so I would say mosh, but you know there's extenuating circumstances, right? As they say. 12 a.m. studio session or 6 a.m. rehearsal? 12 a.m. I'm a night person. If I would probably, wake up at like noon or 1 p.m. or something and work throughout all the night. That's just naturally how I gravitate, the schedule I gravitate towards. What is your guilty pleasure song? Every musician or fan has that one non-metal song they secretly love. I mean, there's a lot of them. Um, I wouldn't even say I feel guilty about them, right? There's a lot of music from Italy that I really like. That's not metal. Like old stuff, like Lucio Dalla. Even he has some incredible music. But even more like hip hop stuff. Like it's just kind of fun to listen to. At least some of the Italian artists and stuff. In terms of like, I mean, just like ridiculous stuff, right? Like I had to put on like the Pina Colada song the other day just because like I wanted to hear it, right? But I don't feel bad for it. Like that's the kind of spice of life, right? So, and there's many, many, many other songs that are, you listen to it, you're like, oh, like almost any Michael Jackson song, right? Like there's just so many. I can just keep going on. So I should probably stop. What are the future plans for Sol Negate? So at Sol Negate, we are starting to work on new material, putting together a concept for the next album. At least whether it's going to be a concept album or not, I don't know, but it helps me draft, the look and shape of the album. So it's a compositional tool as well for me. We're also putting together a live lineup for shows. We're going to be doing some shows in the new year. More information hopefully will be coming out soon. Yeah, we're going to be supporting the music through some live shows. We are going to be working on the new album, and we'll take it from there. All right. Thank you.